In this lesson, I'm going to show you how I've implemented the user interface. Not how I've implemented it with Angular, but before I created the Angular app, I actually created full HTML templates of the two screens that we'll have in our app. The two screens that we have are the expense listing page and the form, which is used for both creation and edition of entries. So I put them in different HTML files. This is again not the implementation in the actual app. These are the mockups basically before I started coding. But I wanted to show you a little bit of the Bootstrap aspects. If you're very familiar with Bootstrap, there's not going to be anything new for you in this particular video. But if you haven't used it, this might be a very quick crash course on how it works. So basically, I included Bootstrap, the minified Bootstrap CSS, and the normal Bootstrap library, the JavaScript library, at the bottom of the body. For the navigation bar, if we look at the documentation, that's called a nav bar, and its code is very, very simple. You simply defined a nav element with certain classes, and there's different options for the kind of nav bar that you want to have. This snippet here, for instance, shows you how to have an image there. So that's exactly the same thing that I did. So this part has to do with the navigation bar. And then we have a main container, which has all the content. In that container has a row, and then a column. That will, the content that's inside will show in one column no matter the resolution. So this is normally used for when you want to have, you could have different columns with different amounts of content. You can find, of course, the documentation on the Bootstrap website. This is far beyond the scope of this course. For the list group, we used basically the code that comes with the documentation, which is this one here. So all you do is create an unordered list, give it a certain class, and then you can add all the entries that you want. In this case, I hard-coded a few of the entries. For the buttons, you just create buttons and give them a class of button so that Bootstrap knows it needs to style that as a button. And then for the color, there's different options. There's the danger one for the red, for the deletion. And there's the primary one, which is blue. And you can find those in the CSS section. If you go to buttons, you'll find all of them. So see, this is super simple. It's all CSS classes for the different aspects. To have this floating on the side, on the extremes, I used a class that's pull right, just to have pull to the right. And then for the actual pictures, those are fonts, and you just give it a certain class, and you have the entire list of all the glyphs in the documentation in components at the beginning. So if you give it a different class, it'll show a different image, and that's all that's done using fonts. So this is all hard-coded stuff. Again, this is not the Angular implementation. Regarding the form, it's just following the same kind of pattern. We have the same navigation bar. We have then we have input fields that have certain class. For the date, I'm using a type date input element, which is a HTML5 element that allows me to have a date picker natively without using external libraries. And then we just have a button and a link. Links can also have the class button, and then they just look like buttons. So that's what the user interface looks like. It's all basic Bootstrap stuff. Other than knowing that's a bunch of HTML elements with certain classes, that's really all there is to it.